Hi everyone and welcome back to another Bork No Game video. Today's video is dedicated to the strongest characters in the game based off of Alchemy JP, so let's go ahead and jump right into this. Quick disclaimer before we cover the next set of information from this wiki, alright? This is based off of individual character strength. This sort of rating does not take into account of character synergies. How does the character work with other team members, whether it's mono, whether it's hybrid. So just note this is based off of individual strength, and remember 100% waifu over meta, husbando over meta, have fun over the meta, alright? So with that being covered, let's go ahead and cover the strongest characters within the game based off of ranking. So to no surprise, the old seal characters are going to be the strongest. If you're wondering how you get these characters, after you pass a certain point within the game, you get the old seal, and then you can go through the Aurorian trials, which is essentially this stuff, and then you can even, switch Aurorians later on where you can recruit others. So just note these are known as the strongest characters based off of Alchemy JP. They have crazy skills that allow them to hit the hardest, which makes a lot of sense. And you can see here the 6 stars who are S tier and then the 6 stars who are A tier. I have a couple of words with these because I don't 100% agree with the strongest character ratings. And just note that they did edit this on June 25th, 1805. So there's definitely room for improvements on this. I'm not sure how they take feedback. So you can see here they're essentially breaking down the skills. I'm not going to break them down because we already know they're super strong. This is sort of like a rating on who they think is the strongest. Personally speaking, you can argue for all of their cases if they're all within the same playing field. So one of the things that I wanted to say though is SS rank is based by characters called epic characters that can be attained as story progresses. Epic characters are extremely powerful with high firepower and multiple effects of their skills, alright? So that's why they're going to be so amazing. S rank characters are slightly inferior in firepower compared to SS rank. It largely depends on their skills' rapid fire performance. So what they mean by that is it depends on how often you can cast their skills, right? What their skills actually do. Wrath is one of the characters that can hit enemies so long as they are within a certain distance of her. She acts like Mia. She's a great sniper. She hits probably one of the best lightning units, if not the best lightning unit, respectively, like on strength. Her cooldown on her main skill is kind of long. I believe it's like 5 turns, but I definitely agree with Wrath being the #1 like lightning character because she can hit so hard. Now, some of you might be wondering, why is Charon here? How is he going to be the strongest fire unit? Because he actually works in somewhat similar ways than Karen, and he can actually hit harder than Karen. Karen can essentially convert one entire row or one column into a single color. Well, Karen can sort of do that with 3 of them. So let's go ahead and jump back, and I can't do this for all the different characters. Alright, so when it comes to Charon, his main reason why he is so great is he deals 300% damage, but then he damages to 3 selected columns or 3 selected rows. And within those columns or rows, he can essentially reset all the non-red tiles and has a small chance to generate all of them to 3. Not to mention on breakthrough 3, this becomes a preemptive skill, so you get this as soon as he's on the field. His chain combo is pretty decent overall. I think it's just like surrounding clusters. So as he gets like more chain combo, he can hit even further units. But overall, he is like mostly used for his main skill, and his equipment is pretty good for ignoring defense, alright? So that's what's going to make him so great. It's hard to say whether he's like the #1 fire character, but I can see why he is going to be an S tier. Carleen, she speaks for herself. Obviously, she is immensely powerful. Her teleport is broken. Her power conversion is broken. Everything about Carleen is like broken. She's touted as like the best reroll character. When it comes to Sharona, she's more of a boss killer, and her actual like main skill is pretty great because it hits like a bunch of tiles. But just note that she doesn't get her preemptive skill until like 6 breakthroughs, alright? It's different from Charon, who takes like 3 dupes and he gets his breakthrough. So with Sharona, I feel like she's expensive. I don't wholeheartedly agree that she should be 6-star because it requires so much investment, but I can see how later on she can be a great boss killer. And then here's some more explanations on, how they feel about if you break through them, if they're going to be stronger, this, that, and the third. Now, when it comes to A rank, I feel that Midgard should be S rank personally, because Midgard is such a strong like forest unit. If I had Midgard, I would run her as a captain for every single team. I personally feel that she is like one of the strongest character, if not the hardest hitting sniper in the entire game. And I just want to say that personally because she has a 3-turn cooldown, no, a 2-turn cooldown on her teleport. All right, 2 turn. That is crazy. And then she hits 250% damage to one enemy within the square around her. And then she also has a chain skill that hits enemies within 2 squares or within 3 squares. And she can hit up to 4 and it goes up to 180% damage. This is by far like my favorite skills when you hit like the enemies within a certain range or the nearest enemy. So Midgard is just so crazy. And then if they fall below 20% HP, her damage increases up to 60% and then her breakthroughs become even better. I have no idea why Midgard is not at S tier in particular, because she definitely deserves to be at one of the highest ranks. But I feel like the reason why, like, if anything, you could technically take out Wrath from like this equation for S rank. If you just left Charon and Karen as like the two like S rank heroes, to me that would make sense because they fill 2 roles. They can do tile conversion, they can do mass damage, and that is like a huge thing. Whereas Sharona, she can teleport, she can do great mass damage, but I feel like Carlene with her tile conversion is a little bit better. Charon with the tile conversion plus like the mass hits is great. Respectively speaking, I feel like Russ and like Sharona, they're boss killers. They're not as like utility focused as someone like Charon and Karen, all right? Because they fill 2 roles. They're not just DPS. Whereas, you know, some of the A rank characters, they fill like DPS capabilities, but they're not as like strong as Karen and Charon. I feel like these two just should be in their own realm. I feel that Michael and Iridian, they're both really great. Now, I don't think they're better than Wrath. I feel like they fill a different role. Iridian is great for, you know, overall damage. I feel like she hits harder than Wrath in some ways, but the thing is Wrath is able to hit the nearest enemy from, you know, farther distances, which makes her a little bit better. She's pretty much a better version of Mia in some ways. And then when it comes to Michael, he hits hard as hell, and I feel like he should be decent. I haven't used him and I haven't seen him too much, but Vulcan was using this dude and he had a lot of success. So when it comes down to the 5-star characters, Klecken, Faust, Sepha, and Burberry, they're all like the same characters for their respective color. All they do is change like the tiles based off of their attribute and based off of a certain attribute. So Burberry can only convert fire tiles, and then Sepha can only convert fire tiles to forest tiles, and then Faust can only convert lightning tiles to fire, and then Klecken only forest to water. All right, now when it comes to this, Phyllishy is probably the best healer for water, and she's probably like the most like strongest healer in the game currently because she can teleport and she can also, you know, heal, and she can heal on her chain skill. She's $1. She's pretty OP, I would have to say, a strong like paid character if you want someone who can heal, and we already know how strong like water units are. Mia, no surprise, she is here because she can kite and she can hit anyone from distances. Scarly is the same thing as Mia, so if you're looking for a forest type who can, you know, pretty much kite, she's definitely going to be your girl. And I definitely like any characters that can kite. Like, personally speaking, if I could pick anyone from like all these characters, I would definitely want Wrath because I like a character who can, you know, hit every single character so long as it's within a certain chain combo that I'm doing. Usually it's like a 4 like tile chain combo. And then when it comes to B rank characters, well, so the description for A rank characters is they are support oriented, such as mass conversion and teleportation. And then A rank characters themselves cannot directly generate firepower, but skills can raise firepower of the party, which makes sense, except for technically Mia and Scarly. They don't raise anyone's firepower, and Phyllishy, you know, she's a healer, right? Now, when it comes to B rank, arguably speaking, I feel like they function in similar ways as A rank, except for like the DPS heads, Midgard, Iridian, and Michael. I feel like these 3 are more DPS oriented, and then the rest are, you know, they're sort of support oriented. And then Mia, she doesn't hit nowhere near as hard as Midgard, Iridian, and Michael. I think it's kind of disingenuous to say Mia is just as good as Michael and Iridian because they definitely hit way harder than her. And when it comes to this, it's just interesting to me because Granru, Elsie, and then Seriel, they are all the same. In fact, you could argue that they're a little bit better than, you know, Klecken, Faust, Sepha, and Burberry. So I don't know why they're rated a little bit lower. Maybe it's because they're 6-star, maybe it's because like their chain skills aren't as great. Arguably speaking, I like AC's like, you know, chain skill. It's really good. I feel like all these units should essentially be moved up. Granru's ability is pretty much like a column attack, so I can see it in some ways, but I like IC like quite a bit. Now, when it comes to like Gabriel, Raphael, these 2 are like more of utility characters. It's interesting to see that all of the 6-stars right here, they're all utility based, right? All the utility based characters who are doing like specifically like healing or some sort of tile conversion, because that's what Gabriel and Raphael do. They do tile conversion for their specific element. they'll actually change the entire board and make it so that, you know, a certain amount of forest tiles or water tiles will appear. Raphael has a heal, but I would argue that Phyllishy is definitely a better healer in that regard. Plus her teleport is really overpowered. So it's up to you. Plus, if you run like Phyllishy, you could arguably say that you don't have to run Sharona unless you're running like some sort of like double teleport sort of deal. And then when it comes to the rest of these characters, Vice chain skill is like absolutely overpowered because she can kite everywhere. And then I think Nemesis is the same thing as Vice because they have the similar description. They can deal damage for the captain. I'm not sure about Maggie. And when it comes to Korax, he's really good because his teleport's insane. Martron, he is really good. He does the exact same thing as Carleen. The only difference is his active skill in particular is on a 5-turn cooldown. So in some ways, I don't know if like he should be better than some units, but being at a 5-turn cooldown is the only reason why I think he's like so low. And then Dana, I feel like she's just here because she has an insane chain skill and her active skill is really good. Dana really synergizes with Grand Rue like really well because they have like the same sort of chain skill. If you actually like put together Grand Rue and pretty much Dana, they'd be really good together. There is definitely like some things where I'm like Midgard should definitely be S tier. Either that or you need to bring down like Wrath and Sharona down to A tier. Charon and Carleen, they are in a different league because they can DPS, they can do tile conversions at a mass rage. And I know that Sharona can teleport while deal like heavy damage, but technically speaking, Midgard can sort of do that. She just doesn't hit as many units as someone Sharona, I guess. She does have more firepower, but in some ways she could be equal to Iridian. And the S to A tier, like this portion in particular with the 6 stars, this has like the most controversy for me. And then when it comes to like A and B rank, I just don't understand how like the 5 stars are quote unquote a little bit better, unless this is just saying in the fact that these 5 stars are just good and then these 6 stars cannot compare to these 6 stars. In that regard, if I view like this rating like in that way, then yeah, I agree, these 6 stars are definitely better than these 6 stars, like these tile converters and stuff, because arguably speaking, like Midgard, Michael, Iridian are way better as like captains and hitting like actual hard damage versus just having like tile conversion, because tile conversion is great and all, but you need a strong DPS captain at the end of the day. I feel like these 4 can make beginning rerolling characters 3 stars or 4 stars that are really good. Like Wendy's going to be great for teleportation. Miss Blanc is great for doing tile conversions, not to mention she can strengthen later on. Peppy, we already know, she can move 1 square. I'm not sure why Aho isn't here. Raven looking unit, she can teleport as well. Ophir is great because she can swap 2 tiles, and not to mention she has the same ability as Vice. Tessa's okay. She does have like that column ability where she can hit like 3 like rows in a row or 3 columns and she can pull them. She's pretty good at that. Nails is the same thing as Vice, just a good cheap alternative. And then you have Nadine and Yuria pretty much being able to heal. Brock, we've seen him, he's able to pretty much gather up all the units. I guess Rabbi's good for teleportation and knockback, and then Alice is good for buffing and debuffing. And of course, you can't forget about Zoya because she's essentially like the best free-to-play like healer that we can get, because everyone can essentially get a copy of Zoya. But Zoya, Yuria, Nadine, great healers. And as you can see, there is no technical fire healer, so that's why fire can be like more DPS oriented and harder to run. I hope you guys enjoyed like the ratings and it sort of showed you like what makes characters stronger in some ways. This has nothing to do with team synergy, because arguably speaking, characters will perform much differently based off of the teams they are in. If you made it this far in today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I've been seeing like a lot of things happen to my Alchemy Stars video in particular. If you don't like my Alchemy Stars content, please let me know in the comments why. Like, I understand if I'm doing something wrong with Alchemy Stars, please give me feedback. Leaving a dislike, I understand, that's fine, but I want to know what I'm doing wrong with my Alchemy Stars content that would warrant it. All right, that's all that I ask for. You can leave a dislike, you can do whatever you want. I appreciate any sort of interaction with y'all because I do this stuff for the community. Like, community first, #1, and I want to help as many people as possible. That's why I do like this sort of like content creation thing. I just want to make that very known. And once we hit 25,000, we'll be doing a giveaway. And just so you guys know, when I do these giveaways, I just want to hope and give you some sort of gacha luck, give back to the community, because you guys deserve it for, you know, just showing support towards like the gacha gaming like scene. But anyways, if you made it this far, thanks so much, and you have yourself a fantastic day. See ya in the next one.